Alright, so now we're going to continue setting up your brand new set of data. And the first thing that I need to do is log in. And in my new set of data, there's only one code. It's the ADM code, or administrator. And to start with, the password is blank. So I leave the password blank and I click on this checkbox and I get this message here. I'm going to click OK and I'm going to set up a new password. So my current password here is blank. So I go to new password, and it can be up to 6 characters alphanumeric. I'm going to make a password ADM. I'm going to make it the same as my login just for the sake of simplicity in this lesson. You can make it whatever you want as long as it's up to 6 characters long. And I type the same thing in the confirm, and then I click on this save button down here. And now I log back in by typing in the same password that I just set up and clicking on this checkbox. And you will notice when you're logged in, the bar down here goes green from red. So this is an indication that I'm logged in. If I was not logged in, I wouldn't be able to open up any of the screens. The very first thing that you can do is, if you have your license and you want to license a program right now, you can click on this button in here, and basically you would put your licensing information here. But what you would do is you would add tokens for the number of licenses that are going to be available to you. So if you have 3 licenses that you've purchased, you would add 3 tokens simply by clicking on add a token here. And again, you would do it 3 times in this case. And then on this side, you would pick 1 token at a time and type in the license information, and at the very end your product key is supplied to you in the program, or on your license certificate rather. Anyway, we're not going to license this set right now. What we're going to do instead is we're going to go on with the setup. Because we logged in as the administrator, we have this menu option available to us, and very first we're going to cover the system parameters. We're going to set those up. So we're going to click into here, and very simply what we can do is we can set a default time frame for follow-up. So for example, whenever I do a contact, create a new contact, if I want to have my default time frame that I want to follow up with them in a week's time, I would set that to 7 days. If you are interfacing with the Visual Grasp data, which is optional, we would select that in here. We're not going to do that in our lesson, but if we did, we might select the location where our Visual Grasp data would be. So for example, for us, well, I can put one here. I can pick this one here. So that's what you do. In most cases, unless you are running our accounting software, you would leave this field blank. So I'm just going to keep that blank right now. Now, each contact can be flagged up with up to 10 flags. So for example, I'm going to create flag number 1 is going to be mark them as a primary contact, and maybe I might do accounts payable and IT department, and so on and so forth. So you can set these up as you would see fit. Yeah, so I set up 5 flags in here out of 10. And a little bit further down, your SMTP server for sending email, you may need to get your technical person to help you with that. In our case, it changes for every person, so that happens to be ours. And your SMTP, most often the correct settings are no authentication and port 25, so that's probably sufficient for most people. In your case, you can choose different things depending on what your settings are for your SMTP service. So ours happens to be no authentication and port 25, so this is sufficient. And lastly, if you are using this for fundraising, you can indicate what numbers are used for donations, pledges, and what your last receipt number is. So I might set each of these to 1 in our case here, and maybe my receipts I want to start numbering at 1,000. You may have a number that you're up to, so you would obviously set this for the next number. When you're all done setting here, you just simply click on the Save button. And that concludes this part of the lesson.